Well, howdy. My name's Daniel. Daniel Boone, of course. I was born on October 22nd, 1734. My father's name is Squire. My mother's is Sarah. I was one of 12 children raised as Quakers. I loved to be outside. Constantly called to me. My siblings and I would sometimes go to drastic measures to be able to go outside. Once, when I was 5, there was a smallpox outbreak. My mother caged us in our house so that we couldn't get the disease, but me and my sister, not wanting to be stuck outside, devised an incredibly dangerous plan. See, if you caught the disease and got better, you couldn't get it again. So, me and my sister, we snuck into the house of someone with the disease and laid in their bed. When we'd been there for what we deemed a sufficient time, we went back in our house and got in our beds, waited for the disease. The disease was no fun, but after we were allowed to be outside, so it's totally worth it. As a young man, I enjoyed hunting, but I didn't kill things for fun. I hunted to get the food and skins that my family needed. When I was young, about 10, I had a stick. It was like a spear. I could only get small game with that stick, but I got pretty good at hunting with it. When I was 13, my father yielded to my begging and got me my very own long rifle. Then I could bring down any animal I could see. I won every competition I entered. Soon my trusty long rifle got the name Tick Licker, because I could shoot a tick off a bear's nose. When I was 14, I was watching my father's cattle, and I saw these tracks. I forgot all about my father's cattle and went looking for the owner of those tracks. When I didn't come home that night, Mom was pretty scared. After a day or two, she sent out a search party for me. Eventually, they found my fire. They found me cooking the meat of my first bear over it. At 19, I attended a wedding, and I met Rebecca Bryan. She was 15 and shy, like me, but we immediately liked each other. I intended to marry her, but when the French and Indian War broke out, I felt like it was my duty to protect my father's land and join the army despite my Quaker beliefs. I became a wagoner. I drove supplies to the soldiers that needed it. But when I saw a massacre with my own eyes, it was too much, and I fled. 1756, I was able to go back and marry Rebecca Bryan. Eventually, we had 10 kids. During the French and Indian War, I met a man named John Finley. He told me about this wondrous land called Kankakee. From his description, I knew I had to go there. And I tried several times, but failed. Thankfully, our paths crossed again, and with his clarified instruction, I was able to go through the Cumberland Gap and find this wonderful land. When I saw it with my own eyes, I knew I had to bring my little girl, that's what I called Rebecca, and my kids here someday. In 1774, I met a man by the name of Henderson, who, 1 year later, would hire me to blaze a trail to a plot of land he had here, build a settlement on it, and guide some settlers to it. That's probably what you know me most for. The Wilderness Road and Fort Boonesboro. Together, with 30 men, We blazed all but 15 miles of the 200-mile trail in 14 days. We cleared underbrush and overgrowth of pre-existing trails and connected them together to make a long, continuous road. 1775, when the trail was done, I was able to start construction on Fort Boonesboro. I was proud to bring Rebecca and my kids to a settlement named after me. The land was good and worth fighting for. Though, I was always fighting Indians. Even if there wasn't a war going on, there were constantly small bands of Indians trying to take my land back. They thought it was wrong of me to take their hunting ground, but the way I saw it, the land was up for grabs and, well, I grabbed it. I was shot in the heel by them once. 2 of my sons were killed by them. One, my firstborn James, was killed in peacetime. The other, Israel, was killed in battle with them. My daughter, Jemima, and some of her friends were kidnapped by them, and I myself was kidnapped by them a few times, even forced to run the gauntlet. I was constantly in debt. First, it was due to when I would hunt. I would spend a lot of money getting ammunition and powder to bring down the animals and so I could sell their skins. But before I could sell their skins, the Indians would take them. Secondly, it was due to surveying. There were tons of overlapping land claims that I got sued for. I never could understand why people sued me. I became famous for hunting, exploring, and fighting Indians. I became a surveyor. But I got sued many times for overlapping land claims. Never could understand why people sued me. I got elected into the Virginia Assembly, but that didn't last long. I was just not good at politics. I tried to stay neutral, but I just said things that offended others. I was awarded 1,000 arpents of land in Missouri, but had to sell most of it to pay off debts in Kentucky. It was all too much for me. And in September 26, 1820, I decided to lay down and die. I was buried next to Rebecca in a cemetery near Jemima's farm in Missouri. 25 years later, my remains were taken and laid in Frankfort. That's where I now am, Frankfort, Kentucky.